Today I'm going to be doing my full review of the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80. It's an 80 amp Wi-Fi connected smart charger. And not only is it an 80 amp smart charger, but it is the least expensive 80 amp charger that you can buy today. So hopefully it does well in our review, because that's going to make high-speed AC charging a lot more affordable. With that said, let's open up the box and see what comes inside. All right, let's see what we have here. First up, here's the unit. It has a sticker on the front that says 80 amps and a 3-year warranty. We'll get into that later. It actually does come standard with a 3-year warranty, but you can buy a longer one. And this, if you notice here, I have the Cyber version of the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 amp. United Chargers made this, I think it's a limited edition, Cyber Ultimate it's called. And it's in white. It's got a little bit of like Cybertruck headlight light bar on the bottom. And of course it comes with the NACS connector. The Grizzl-E Ultimate is available in either J1772 or NACS. I asked for them to give me one in with the NACS connector and also this Cyber Ultimate unit, because I think it's a limited edition run. You're not going to be able to get this forever. None of the operational functions of the charger is different. It's just the look right here. That's it. Once the Cyber Ultimate is gone, you can still get this exact same charger for, I'm pretty sure, the exact same price, but I'll take a look and see if he has any specials before this video gets wrapped up. In any event, this is the body of the unit. It comes with a nice long cable. We have here the connector holster. This is the Easy EV plug. I've talked about this before in the other Grizzl-E reviews that I've done. United Chargers has two different ones. One's a less expensive one. One is a premium one. That's what this one is. The 80 amp, you get the premium Easy EV plug. This is a remote connector holster. You can mount it anywhere you want in the garage. Comes with the screws to mount it and drywall anchors. Over here, we've got a bag of goodies. Okay, first up, the quick start manual in English and French. United Chargers is a Canadian company. And also, this is the instructions on how to pair your app. This is a Wi-Fi connected smart charger, and you can pair it with the Grizzl-E app. We'll get into that a little bit later. We've got the terminal lugs here. Same with the Grizzl-E Ultimate 48. They give you the terminal lugs for mounting the wires separately. And they also give you heat shrink wraps in here so that you can shrink wrap the connections, hopefully to keep them from loosening up. I'm not sure just how well that works. If you have some kind of real problem and it's overheating, it's probably going to melt through those, but it's not a bad idea to put them on just to keep the connections a little bit from backing out a little tighter. But if you torque them to the manufacturer's specifications, you shouldn't have that problem anyway. So I'm not sure they're needed, but hey, they won't hurt. This is the wall mounting bracket system, same as all Grizzl-Es. They all have this, except for the Grizzl-E Mini, that's a little small unit. It's got a different mounting kit. But for all the Grizzl-Es that are this size, it's the exact same mounting bracket system. Basically, this part of it gets mounted to the back with 4 screws, which are included in this bag. I'll show you in a minute. This goes on the back of the unit like this. And then this here gets mounted on the wall like this. These 3 screws here are where you mount it. And then this piece here slides over the top like this into the mounting bracket, locks in place. And then there's a little bar here. This would be up on the wall like this. They give you this bar here that slides through the back. And then there's a cotter pin in here that you put on the other side, which locks this pin in. And this is important because we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the charger rater. I like this system because it's a quick release system. The charger now is mounted to the wall nice and tightly with this, but if you needed to remove this for some reason quickly, you don't have to unscrew anything. You pull the cotter pin out, you pull this pin out, And then this will lift off the wall and the charger comes off nice and easily. Now that's more important with United Chargers plug-in units. This is going to be hardwired, so it's not as important for this, but I really like that with the plug-in units where you could easily pull them off the wall really quickly. You don't have to bust out a screwdriver and unscrew them like most chargers have. Okay, so we have also the 4 screws here. These are the 4 screws that you use to screw this plate to the back of the unit. 2 screws here. This is to mount this mounting kit to the wall. And then also have this Allen key here, and that's for removing the front cover plate of the charger because this unit has to be hardwired, so you do have to take the front cover plate off to run your electrical wires in there and connect it. So this isn't not available as a plug-in unit. It's only available as a hardwired unit. You know, with that high amperage, you don't want to mess around with plugs. Okay, I think that's all we have here, except for this final little bag here that is popcorn. United Chargers gives you 1 pack of buttery microwave popcorn with all of their orders, which I think is, it's cute. It's, I like when people do fun things, and I have to admit, I have had their popcorn when I've done the previous reviews, and it's pretty good. So, but I guess most popcorn is good, right? All right, well, that's it for the unpacking. Next up, we're going to take a look at the key features of the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 before we jump into how to mount it on the wall and opening the case up and taking a look inside. Okay, for the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 key features. As for price, if you order the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 from the Grizzl-E website with a J1772 connector, it costs $749. However, this Cyber Ultimate that I have here in this review has the NACS connector. And if you want to get the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 with the NACS connector, you order it through Amazon. And United Chargers has a crazy current deal. It's only running for the next month through February of 2025. $190 off. You can get this 80 amp unit for $559, but you have to purchase it by the end of February. So you literally have 1 month, and I don't think United Chargers is ever going to offer it at such a low price. This is kind of like an introductory special if you want the NACS connector. And I think that they purchased it in a limited run, so after this run is over, I don't think you can get it with the NACS connector for a little while. It's only going to be available with the J1772. For the dimensions, it's the same size as the other Grizzl-E units, 10.25 inches by 6.25 inches by 3.75 inches. It's an 80 amp unit that can deliver up to 19.2 kilowatt. It is hardwired only. This unit is not available as a plug-in unit. It has adjustable output from the 80 amp maximum all the way down to 16 amps. You set that inside through dip switches. We'll go over that a little later. It has a 25-foot long cable. It has the J1772 connector available, and currently the NACS connector is available through this Cyber Edition, but once these are sold out, I'm not sure when it's going to be available again with the NACS connector. It has a NEMA 4 rated aluminum enclosure. The operating temperature is negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a Wi-Fi connected smart charger that is UL listed and Energy Star rated. It comes standard with a 3-year warranty, but you can purchase 2 more years for $200 extra, and the unit is made in Canada. Okay, so I've mounted the wall mounting plate on the wall. There's 3 holes in the back of it that you can use. Try to land it on a stud so it's nice and tight. If not, use good drywall anchors to make sure this is really securely mounted to the wall. I also have the connector holster here that United Chargers calls it the Easy EV plug, and this will holster the NACS connector that I have on the unit. Depending on which connector you get, NACS or J1772, they'll send you the corresponding connector holster, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, once you have this mounted on the wall, take the charger, slides in and then locks down, and then you have this key here that all the United Chargers have the same mounting system. So if you see me do a video of another one, it's the same thing. You slide this through the back and then comes through the other side, and then you slide the cotter pin in to hold it in. Now, if you were to mount this outside, the United Charger sells an optional lock where it's not just a cotter pin in the back, it's actually a lock with a key, so nobody can just come by and steal your charger. As it is now, I could pull the cotter pin out, take this thing off, and walk away with it. But if you get the optional key, nobody can do that. So that's something, if you have this mounted outside or in an area where the public can interact with it, you might want to order that optional lock. Okay, so now let's take this, holster this, cable, which, speaking of the cable, it comes with a nice long 25-foot cable that really isn't too thick. I measured this and it's 19.3 millimeters thick, which isn't bad for an 80 amp charger. It's a little chunky, but considering that this can deliver up to 80 amps, you're not going to get a real thin cable like you get on the Tesla wall connector here. The wires have to be thicker in there, and there's even a little bit more insulation. Okay, so here's how it looks when it's on the wall. Other things to note, as this is the Cyber Ultimate Edition, you get this Tesla Cybertruck headlight thing across the front. Now let's take a look inside, and we'll see exactly how you wire, where you bring the wire in, and how you adjust the power. Okay, these 4 screws don't fall out of the case, so you don't have to worry about catching them. Okay, now once we're inside here, there's the line 1, line 2, and your ground is down here. You need these terminal blocks that are included to screw these in, and then you attach your wires to them. I like the method of this. I like that it comes this way. I've hardwired these before, and they're relatively simple to hardwire. But I will urge you, if you're going to have this installed at your house, have a qualified licensed electrician do it. There's a lot of power going through these, and if you don't torque the connections just right, if you don't attach the terminal blocks just right, you could have problems. So get a licensed qualified electrician, preferably one that has a lot of electric vehicle charging equipment experience, like my channel sponsor here, Qmet. One of the reasons why I've partnered with them. They're a team of licensed electricians who are specially trained for electric vehicle charging equipment. When this thing's pumping 80 amps out, it's going to be taking more power from the grid than the rest of your house, and probably more than 2 or 3 houses on your block at that one time. 80 amps at 240 volts is a lot of power, and if the connections aren't made just right, you're going to have them loosening up over time, arcing, could have a fire. So make sure you get it done by somebody who really knows what they're doing. This isn't like installing a ceiling fan. A tremendous amount of power is going to be pumping through this for many hours continuously. Okay, let's talk about the power amount. You can derate this all the way down to 16 amps. When this first launched a few months ago, I think it only, you could derate it from the 80 amps down to 40 amps. Oh no, I think it was 48 amps, 40 amps, 32 amps, and 16 amps. And there were some people that I saw comments on my other videos saying, how come they all you can derate it to is 48 amps? What about a little bit higher, between 48 and 80 amps? Now, through a software update, United Chargers allows you to derate it if you're on an 80 amp circuit down to 64 amps, and if you're on a 70 amp circuit down to 56 amps. So now you have the options of the full 80 amps, 64 amps, 56 amps, 48 amps, 40 amps, 32 amps, and 16 amps. In order to do that, you have to adjust the dip switches, which are over here. There's 4 dip switches here, and United Chargers in the installation guide shows you exactly what position to have each of those 4 dip switches in order to have the unit limited to the amount of current that you want it limited to. If you can't spare a 100 amp circuit for the full 80 amps, you might be able to spare 60 amps. Then you could pare it down to 48 amps. Or maybe you have 80 amps available. Once you've done a load calculation, you can derate it down to 64 amps. So, and some people just choose to charge their vehicle at a little bit of a slower rate than what it's able to accept. Now, there aren't many electric vehicles on the market that can accept 80 amps to begin with. So, you know, there's that. You might have an EV now that can only accept 48 amps. So you might decide to set this at 48 amps until you get a vehicle later on that can accept more power. However, you don't have to, because your vehicle is going to call for the amount of power that it wants. Just because this can deliver 80 amps, it won't try to deliver 80 amps to your EV that can only accept 48 amps. So you don't have to lower the power output. You only do that willingly if you choose to lower it down. Electric vehicles always limit the amount of power they take in. On AC charging, you don't have to worry about having a charger that's more powerful than what your onboard charger can accept, because there'll never be an issue with that. Okay, so the power is going to come in through the bottom here. Unlike some other chargers, you don't have a choice on an alternate to bring your wires in. It's just down here. You can't bring it in through the back. You can't bring it in through the side anywhere. This is where it has to come. So you can't have a clean installation where the power comes into the back of the charger like you can on some units. This is a real compact unit here. There's just nowhere to bring the power in. And anyway, you'd be drilling through this really strong aluminum case, and now you have an opportunity for more moisture to get in. So it's really best to come in through the bottom here and make sure that's sealed nice and tightly. Once your power is all hooked up, just close the case like I'm going to do now. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 amp. Okay, so as I mentioned, this can deliver up to 80 amps. It's a Wi-Fi connected smart charger, which you can pair with the Grizzl-E app. We're going to take a look at how you pair it with the app later on and some of the features that the app offers. But for now, let's check out the cold weather performance of the Grizzl-E Ultimate. And for that, we've got to put it in the freezer for 24 hours at -10 to -15 degrees and see just how well the cable and the connector fare in our cable flexibility and connector drop test. Next up, we'll do our cable deep freeze test and connector drop test. I put the Grizzl-E Ultimate in this freezer yesterday, about 30 hours ago. This is a deep freezer. It gets down around -15 degrees Fahrenheit. We do this to test how usable, good catch, right? The cable is when it gets frozen. A lot of people have to mount their chargers outside overnight, and if they live in a cold weather area, if the cable's really stiff, it's hard to work with. I could have just left it outside last night here, actually, because it's about the coldest I can ever remember it here in northern New Jersey. It got down to -7 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is pretty cold. So if this was mounted outside of my house last night, we'd see similar performance to what we're going to see here now. And while I have it frozen, I also do the connector drop test to see, you know, if the connector can withstand being dropped on cold pavement when it's really cold and the plastic is all frigid from being frozen. Okay, so let's see how cold it is in here. I'm seeing -12.5 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's cold. Let's take this out. As you can see, I always wrap the cables up in tight loops. Now I'm going to see how well it unravels and if I can manage it to put it back up on the connector holster. Okay, it's pretty stiff. Now the Grizzl-E Ultimate 48 has a different cable than this, the one I've reviewed already, and that's a thinner cable. And you see how this is coiled up like that? That's not ideal. You don't want to see the cable retain a coiled up, appearance like a spring. So ideally, I've unplugged my car now, and now I want to holster the connector and coil up the cable. So let's see how that works. See how it's fighting me? That's not great cold weather performance. See how the connector holds up in the air like that? Now you can bend it. It's not like you can't use it, but it makes it more difficult if you're plugging and unplugging in cold weather areas. You can see it's retaining this coiled up, form rather than flopping and conforming to what I want it to do. I mean, that's still holding up like this. This should flop down nicely, and it doesn't. That tells you that mostly the outer jacket is thick and more plasticky than rubberized, which could make it, say, more durable if you run it over, but it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to deal with if you're mounting this outside and you live in a cold weather area. If you're inside a garage or you live in sunny South California, this does not matter, but there are a lot of people that charge their EVs outside in cold weather areas, and you want the cable to be easy to work with. This one is not very easy to work with. It's going to lose a point on the charger rater for that. Okay, next up, we'll do our connector drop test. That doesn't count because it didn't land on the connector. The cable being frozen is making it harder. Now I got it good. I think we'll be good now. No, still. I might have to hold one end of the cable and let it drop. It's 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that was a good one. Now I hit the cable again. It's getting hard because this cable is stiff. 4. That's a good one. 5. Okay. Now this is a NACS connector. There's no damage to it, it's fine. These are less likely to have a problem than a J1772 if you drop it, because it doesn't have the locking tab on the top. It's more simple, elegant design than the NACS connector. So at best, you're gonna chip the edge here. There's very little to break on this. So the connector drop test with a NACS connector really almost isn't as important as it is when I do it with the J1772, because those do break. That locking tab that you push in on the top, if that's weak, if that's made out of plastic, if it's not strong, you could drop it one time and it's broken. And now, you can still technically use it, but you could pull the connector out of the car while it's charging hot, which you definitely don't want to use it if it's broken off. And most companies don't sell you replacement parts. You can't fix it. You need to buy a whole new charger. Some companies let you swap out the cable, but it's expensive. They're usually like $200 for a cable and a connector. So just by breaking that little plastic piece on the top, it kind of renders the unit useless. With these NACS connectors, we're not going to see as many problems with that happening. So that's just another reason why the NACS connector is superior to the J1772. Okay, I can't do the cold weather startup because when I have to hardwire chargers like I have to do with the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80, I can't have it in the freezer while it's hardwired. So now I'm going to do that and continue the review. As you can see, I've pulled a really beefy cable here. This needs to be on a dedicated 100 amp circuit if I want to charge at 80 amps, which I do want to for this review. So, I had to get a nice beefy cable there, and luckily I have this garage all set up so I can do these high-powered charger reviews and pull an extra 100 amp circuit out here. So let me wire this guy up next, and we'll continue the review. Next up, we'll do our extreme heat test. In this test, I put a heat lamp on the charger for 2 hours. I maintain a surface temperature of somewhere between 115 and 120 degrees. Let's see where we're at now. 119, and I maintain that for 2 hours. What I'm going to do now is plug in my Ford F-150 Lightning that I have here, which can accept the full 80 amps that the Grizzl-E can deliver. I have the 80 amp onboard charger option with the Lightning. That's no longer offered. So if you get a new Lightning, you can't get this. The most you can get is the 48 amp onboard charger. The older Lightnings, the 2022 and 2023, had this option for an 80 amp onboard charger, which I have. So I can test the full current that the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 can deliver. So what I'm going to do now is plug it in and charge my Lightning for 2 hours. I'm going to leave this light on. Let me get over this extension cord so I don't end up pulling over the heat lamp. I'm going to plug in the Lightning, leave this on for 2 hours, and I'll make sure that the Lightning accepts the full amount of power for those 2 hours. Now, I do need to use an adapter because this Grizzl-E 80 amp that I have has the NACS connector. You can get it with the CCS, the J1772 connector also, but since I got this, the Cyber version, I need to use an adapter. So I'm going to use my A to Z NACS to J1772 adapter. This is an AC adapter. You can't use this on superchargers. You use it on AC chargers, and this is an 80 amp adapter. So if you're going to use the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 and charge a vehicle that can accept 80 amps, you need to make sure your adapter is 80 amps because most of these are lower amperage. This one by A to Z is a good quality one. This is the one that I use and recommend. And if you do buy it from the A to Z website and use the State of Charge coupon code, you'll save some money. So let me plug in now, and we'll see just how much power just how much power my Lightning takes in 2 hours of charging. Hopefully I'll come back and it will have accepted the 80 amps for the full 2 hours. Okay, so I've been charging the Lightning for 2 hours now, and the Grizzl-E Ultimate was able to maintain the 80 amp delivery the entire 2 hours and delivered 36 kilowatt hour to the Lightning. Now, not all of that ended up into the battery because there's charging losses, somewhere around 10 to 12%. And the higher the charging power on AC as well as DC, the more charging losses. So out of that 36 kilowatt hour, I probably only got maybe 31 or 32 kilowatt hour, somewhere of that into the battery of the Lightning. But that's not the Grizzl-E's problem. It just needs to deliver the power. What the vehicle does with it once it receives it is up to the vehicle. So passes the extreme heat test. Next up, we're going to do the automatic restart test. While the vehicle is still charging, I'm going to shut power off to the charger, turn it back on. We just want to make sure that the charger, once it powers back up, re-engages the vehicle and continues charging it. I've noticed some chargers don't do that. They remain in a fault state. And if you get a temporary power outage overnight while your vehicle is charging, you wake up in the morning and it hasn't charged. But before we do that, let's take a look at just how hot the unit is now. 142.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's because during this test, while the heat lamp remains on the charger, it heats up even hotter than it did when just the heat lamp was on, because the chargers themselves always heat up during a continuous power draw, especially a high power charger like this that's delivering 80 amps. Okay, so next up, let me slide this to the side. I can actually turn it off now. And let's do the automatic restart test. So for that, I'll step over here. I will shut the power off. You can see the light goes off on the Grizzl-E. The Lightning clicks because it's no longer charging. I'll wait a few seconds and let's restore power. Okay, you can see the Grizzl-E starting to power up. It's making some clicking noises and green blinking light. So I think we're good. I mean, that was just about the fastest I've seen a charger, power back up and then start charging the vehicle. Let me just double check the charging port of the Lightning. Okay, and there we go. The Lightning is charging, and I just heard the contact in the Grizzl-E go off, so the Lightning's charging. The Grizzl-E Ultimate passes the automatic restart test. The Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 is, like all of the Grizzl-E products that are smart chargers, a Wi-Fi connected smart charger. And it comes with the Grizzl-E Connect app. But you don't have to use the Grizzl-E app. This is the only charger currently available on the market that has true OCPP compliance, in that it allows you to direct the charger to a third-party software app. Currently, United Chargers has a deal with Epic Charging, but they have other companies that they're working with, and you're going to have other choices. So you don't have to use the Grizzl-E Connect app. You can run the charger through other people's software. And this is something that we talked a lot about here on the channel recently, because the decision by NL to pull out of the US market, leaving juice box owners stranded because you had to use the JuiceNet software. You couldn't use third-party apps. So basically everybody's juice box became a dumb charger when NL shut off their servers. So that's something we've been talking about here on State of Charge, and I changed the charger rater to reflect which chargers allow you to direct their product to third-party applications. We'll talk about that when we do the charger rater later on, but I just wanted to point out right now, you can use the Grizzl-E Connect app, which I use and I actually like it, or you can direct the charger during commissioning to Epic Charging. There's instructions how to do that on the Grizzl-E website, so I'm not going to go deep dive into that. That might be a video in itself. But if you're going to use the Grizzl-E Connect app like I do, first you obviously download the app. I have it already. I have other chargers on that. You could you either sign in to your account or create an account, and then you need to press the plus button to add a charger. You select which model of Grizzl-E you have, and then you scan. There's a QR code on the side of the unit, which then connects your serial number and everything. You then connect it to your Wi-Fi network, and you're good to go. When you have the Grizzl-E Connect app functioning, you can view real-time charging data. You could view the your charging history. You could set and edit charging schedules if you want to have low-cost electricity. If your electric provider provides that overnight electricity, time of use plans where you pay less overnight, you could set it so that the vehicle will only charge during low-cost energy times. It also has access control. You can turn the charger off, so when you leave, nobody can use it. That's important if you have your charger mounted outside in a public area. Some people have them mounted on the side of their homes. Some people even live in apartment complexes and they have a place where they're allowed to park and charge in a garage. You don't want somebody else just rolling up and using it. You could just turn it off through the app. You could also authorize other people to use it. So while it's off, somebody else can, have access to the charger. Let's say you share it with a friend, both of you can have access to it. So it actually works really well. You also can do firmware updates from the app, and that's important for me to mention because when I powered this up, it had a firmware update waiting, and that was because United Chargers now allows you to have 64 amp and 56 amp charging. I talked about that a little bit earlier. Some of the early Grizzl-E Ultimate owners complained that they had an 80 amp circuit available and they wanted to charge at 64 amps, but you could either charge at 80 amps and then the next highest level was 48 amps. So now they added a 70 amp circuit and an 80 amp circuit, and the firmware update added that. So now I could set the internal dip switches here if I wanted to, from 80 amps down to 64 amps to 56 amps, then 48 amps, and then all the way down. So it does firmware updates, over-the-air updates, which is a good feature to have. Okay, well, that's pretty much it for the app. Next, we're going to talk about the different settings and how fast you may charge your electric vehicle charging from an 80 amp electric vehicle charger. Okay, so this is an 80 amp charger, which needs a dedicated 100 amp circuit. Many people don't have enough extra capacity in their house to add a 100 amp circuit. But if you do, and your electric vehicle can accept 80 amps, that's one thing I want to get clear here. Just because you have an 80 amp charger doesn't mean you can charge at 80 amps. Your vehicle has to be able to accept it. there aren't a lot of electric vehicles on the market right now that can accept 80 amps. My F-150 Lightning can. There's vehicles like the Lucid Air. There's the new General Motors electric vehicles that can accept 80 amps. Most of them, it's an option. Most of them, the standard onboard charger is a 48 amp charger. If you get the 80 amp, it's an option. But there are some vehicles out there that can charge at 80 amps. And I mentioned earlier, you know, if your electric vehicle can only accept 48 amps, you could still charge from an 80 amp charger. It's not going to hurt the car at all. But if your EV can accept 80 amps, let's take a look at how quickly it'll charge on that with a little chart that I put together. Okay, so let's take a look at the top line. That is the 80 amp output. You need a dedicated 100 amp circuit for that. It's going to deliver up to 19.2 kilowatt hour, but not all of that power makes its way to the battery. There are charging losses. So you can expect somewhere between 35 and 75 miles of range added to your electric vehicle for every hour of charging. Now, I know that is a big, wide spread. And the reason why that is so wide is because electric vehicles have different efficiencies. If you've got a big 7,000-pound electric pickup truck like I have, it's not going to be as efficient as, let's say, a Lucid Air, a very efficient sedan. So, you know, I can only expect somewhere around 35 miles of range per hour of charging added, whereas a very efficient vehicle like a Lucid Air or even some of the Teslas, although they can't accept 80 amps, but if they could, they'd get close to 75 miles of range added per hour because they're so much more efficient. Okay, now let's take a look at if you were to charge overnight, how many potential miles of range could you add? Now, I have here 350 to 750. There are no electric vehicles that can go 750 miles on a single charge right now currently, but that's just the spread to show you if you were to charge for about 10 hours based on the miles of range added per hour. And then how many kilowatt hour would be added? 175 kilowatt hour approximately, because like I said, there's going to be charging losses. And if you have a Silverado EV or a Hummer EV, your battery still won't be completely full if it was completely empty when you plugged in after 10 hours, but you'd still have plenty of range to live that day. And as you can see, now, depending on if you have an 80 amp breaker or 70 amp breaker available, I have that all listed there. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but you could take a look at that so you know the difference of about how many miles of range added per hour and how much energy you would add to your battery if your charger has that output. You really look at the maximum output, and that's going to tell you what you're charging at and what you're pumping into your electric vehicle. This video was sponsored by Qmerit, North America's premier installer of electric vehicle charging equipment. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charger you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and have Qmerit install it. And if you follow that link, Qmerit will waive the $150 installation deposit. But in order to have the deposit waived, you must follow the link in the description of my videos. So I've been using the Grizzl-E Ultimate now for close to 3 weeks, and it's worked perfectly. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. It's definitely going to be a highly rated charger here on State of Charge. You can't beat the value of this unit. For an 80 amp Wi-Fi connected smart charger with all the features it has and how well it's built, right now you can get this for $559 from either Amazon or from the Grizzl-E website. Now that's the Cyber Ultimate version with the NACS connector. The J1772 version is $749. United Chargers has this limited run special only through February. And I'm not sure that they're going to sell it with the NACS connector after this limited run is over for a while. So you may only be able to get the J1772 version of the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 once this supply runs out. So if you think you want this, you really want to move on it now and order it either from Amazon or from the United Chargers website at $559 because of a few reasons. The regular price is going to be $749. So you're already getting a big discount. United Chargers did this discount right now just to introduce the new product. But also we've got another issue, and that's the potential for a tariff war to start breaking out now between the United States and Canada. Matter of fact, it's supposed to start tomorrow. This is going to be, once this video is posted tomorrow, which is February 1st, will have passed, because I'm not going to have this up for a couple of days. And if the tariffs are in place, United Chargers is going to be, going to have a 25% tariff on all their products. So that would equate to $190. So, at the $749 regular price of this unit, add $190 onto that. It's just under $1,000. So this unit may cost $950, $960 in a couple of weeks. You could buy it now for $559. So if you think you want it, I would move on it really quickly before their supplies are exhausted, because it looks like the tariffs are going to get put in place. I hope that's not the case. I hope by the time this video posts, calmer hands won, and we didn't begin this tariff war between the US and Canada, but it looks like that's the direction we're headed in. So that's a real good reason to get it. But here's the crazy thing. Even at that price, it's less than any other 80 amp electric vehicle charger you could buy today. And let's take a look at some of the competing 80 amp units that are out there on the market. First up, another charger that's made in Canada, the Flow X8. I just did a review of the new Flow electric vehicle charger lines. Right now it costs $1,399. That's before any tariffs take effect. So you can imagine what a 25% tariff is going to do to that price. Then there's the PowerCharge Energy. That's an 80 amp charger, $1,995. Leviton offers an 80 amp charger. It costs $2,638.80. PrimeCon offers an 80 amp charger. It's $1,600. The GM Energy PowerShift charger is $1,699, but that's a bi-directional charger. So you get a little bit more functionality with that, but it's still $1,700. The Ford Charge Station Pro that I have here in my garage, that's an 80 amp charger, but it's also bi-directional. It's $1,310. And Lucid sells a bi-directional 80 amp charger also. That costs $1,200. So you can see, if you want an 80 amp electric vehicle charger, there's nothing even close to this. Even at the regular price of $749, it's a fantastic deal. But with this current special that's running only through February, $559, man, that's a steal. That costs less than a lot of the 48 amp chargers on the market today. So, if you're in the market, like I said, you want the NACS connector. I mean, heck, you could charge your J1772 EV with this, just get an adapter. You'll have a great charger in your garage. You'll be future-proofed, a nice high-powered charger. Even if you don't have a NACS-equipped EV now, someday you will, because the whole industry is going in that direction. Well, that's pretty much all I have here today. For my review of the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 electric vehicle charger, it's time for the ratings. First up, let's take a look at my charger rater. Okay, first up, let's take a look at the cost and value category. It cost more than $700. The regular price is $749, so it's going to lose 3 points. I do not count temporary discounts when I do the cost category here on the charger rater. Of course, you could buy one now for $559, but I can't include that in the charger rater when I rate the cost. So it's going to lose 3 points there. Value, it's getting an excellent value because there's nothing on the market that's even close to this, that's an 80 amp charger for this price point. It's going to finish up cost and value category with 14 points. Okay, next up, the power and weatherproof category. Max charging power, it's going to get 3 points because it can deliver more than 50 amps to your EV. Adjustable power, it's going to get 2 points because you can adjust the output from this unit both from an internal dip switch and then also in the app. So it gets 2 points there. Extreme heat test, it passed the test, it gets a point. Weatherproof rating, it's going to get 2 points because it's a NEMA 4 rated unit. It is Energy Star certified, it gets a point. It passed our automatic restart test, so it gets a point there. It finishes up the power and weatherproof rating category with an amazing 25 points. That might be the most that any charger's gotten in any one single category so far. Next up, we'll look at the construction and durability category. For connector and holster, I think it's a good combination, so it's going to get 1 point. For cable length, it gets 2 points because the cable's longer than 23 feet. For cable pliability, it's going to lose a point there because, as you could see, it didn't really perform that well. When I froze it up, it didn't want to uncoil. It remained in like a spring-like position. It was functional. You could use it, but there are better cables out there, even 80 amp ones, for better cold weather performance. Robust construction. It's going to get a point there because the Grizzl-E units are made very well, just about as tough as you're going to get on any electric vehicle charger. Removability, it gets a point here, but I thought about this because it does have the security lock quick release, but this is a hardwired charger, so you can't remove it quickly. It's hardwired, but the problem is I don't have that broken out in the Chargerator here, and if it has a quick release lock like the Grizzl-E does, it gets a point, so it's going to get a point there. For construction and durability in this category, it's going to get 19 points. For smart and non-smart, it is a Wi-Fi connected smart charger. It gets 2 points. Is it power share capable? No, no points there. And this next line here used to be Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant compatible. I've removed that from the Chargerator because it's really an option that I don't think is something that many people are concerned with. And instead, I'm adding, can it do intelligent power management? And that would be if the unit or the unit in combination with another device that you can buy can intelligently manage the output so it doesn't overload your circuit panel. I'm going to be doing a video soon. There's a few chargers on the market right now that will allow you to install a high-powered charger even if you do a load calculation and you shouldn't be able to install that. That's because the charger won't send more power to your vehicle than what your service can safely supply. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this in future videos. I'm going to do a dedicated video on the chargers that can do this, intelligently manage the power output. The Grizzl-E Ultimate can't, so it gets no points there. For access control, it's going to get 2 points because you can control it through the app. You can control who uses it. For charging record data, it's going to get a point there because it keeps some nice data. OCP compliant, we talked about this. Gets no points. That's because I'm going to penalize the chargers that don't do it. The chargers that force you to go through their native app only are going to lose 5 points from now on the Chargerator. So the Grizzl-E Ultimate finishes up the smart and non-smart category with 20 points. For safety certified and warranty, it gets no points there because it is safety certified. You don't get points for that. And for the warranty, it's going to get 3 points because it comes standard with a 3-year warranty. You can buy 2 more years for an additional $200, but that's not standard, so it's only going to get 3 points there. It'll finish up the safety certified and warranty category with 18 points. And that gives the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 a total of 96 points on the Chargerator. And when I take those 96 points and convert them to a 5-star rating, the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 gets 4.8 stars out of 5. I then take my own personal score, average the two for the final score. I'm going to give the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80 4.7 stars out of 5. So it finishes up with 4.75 stars out of 5 for the final score. An excellent score. One of the highest rated chargers that we've had here on State of Charge. I personally would have given it a slightly higher score if it had better cold weather cable performance, if it could power share, and also if it had intelligent power management. I think those two features are going to be something that we talk about a lot here in the coming years because more and more electric vehicle charging equipment allows for power sharing and power management. So I think those are two things to keep an eye out in the future for the next generation of electric vehicle charging equipment. But 4.7 stars out of 5 is actually an excellent score, and you know, it's going to be on our recommended charger list. If you want to buy the Grizzl-E Ultimate, I'm going to have links to the Amazon site and also directly to the Grizzl-E website where you purchase the 80 amp Ultimate. As I mentioned, if you really think you want to get one of these, act on it quickly because I got a strong feeling prices are going to go up really soon. And you know, hopefully that's not because of a trade war, but that could be what we're looking at coming up soon. So it's unfortunate, but it's the world we live in today. Okay, well, that's it for the review. The only thing that we have left to talk about is my final hits and misses for the Grizzl-E Ultimate 80. Okay, we'll start off with the hits. It's an 80 amp high powered charger, which is the highest powered AC charger that you can get. The price, you just can't beat the price of this thing. I've said it enough here in the review. I don't need to go on anymore, but for what you get for that price, that's a fantastic deal. And the fact that it has true OCPP compliance. You're not forced to go through the native app. United Chargers lets you direct the charger to third-party apps, and they're the only company currently that lets you do that. Next up are the misses. Cannot power share. The cable was pretty stiff. You saw that when I did the cable deep freeze test, and it doesn't have intelligent load management. So if your house or wherever you're installing this doesn't have the capacity, you can't install it. You have to install it on a lower amp circuit and charge slower. Some of the new electric vehicle charging equipment will allow you to intelligently manage the power and will prevent you from overdrawing the circuits. All right, well, that's all we have here today for the Grizzl-E Ultimate review. I hope this review helped you decide if you want to get this unit or not. I know my reviews are long, but I am going to offer a condensed 10-minute version of this review for those that don't want to watch my ugly mug talk about electric vehicle charging equipment for nearly an hour. Listen, if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.